Hello, viewers. Welcome to the Art Teachers Association of Ghana Television, which we call in short ATAG TV. We offer you incisive professional development programs that contribute to the professional well-being of both pre-service teachers, that's teachers who are students or student teachers, and in-service teachers across all levels of education in Ghana. Kindly visit our site on www.atagonline.org or follow us on YouTube at ATAG TV. In this training program dubbed Sensitization on Education Policies, it broadly covers Education Regulatory Bodies Act, that's Act 1023, Framework for Professional Development of Teachers, Ghana Teacher Prize, National Teachers Standard for Ghana Guidelines, the National Teaching Council online registration and portal usage. I mean, as a teacher, how are you going to be able to use the portal effectively to upload your stuff? And that's the training we'll be taking you through. This training is segmented into 5. As I've hinted, it touches on major educational policies in Ghana. Have an insightful training.
Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin Kwashi and I'll be the facilitator for this presentation. In this presentation, we shall be talking about the Education Regulatory Bodies Act 2020, Act 1023. Through this presentation, we shall look at the overview of the Regulatory Bodies Act, what it is about, and our main focus of the presentation shall be on the National Teaching Council, its mandates, the functions of the Council, the functions of the governing body of the Council, the registrar, its functions, and teacher registration procedure. Let us talk about the Regulatory Bodies Act. The Regulatory Bodies Act 1023 was assented on 21st August 2020. This act is the act that establishes all education bodies in Ghana. And these education bodies include 1. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, 2. Commission for Technical and Vocational Education, 3. The National Teaching Council, which is our main focus of discussion for this presentation, and then 4. National Schools Inspectorate Authority, 5. The National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. So these bodies are responsible for regulating all issues concerning education in Ghana, according to the Regulatory Bodies Act 1023. Now, the National Teaching Council, which is one of the bodies under this act, is what matters most to teachers, and we want to look at what the National Teaching Council, its main objective is, and the functions of the council. The main objective of the National Teaching Council is to regulate teaching professionalism in Ghana. And when we say regulate, anything that concerns teaching is what the National Teaching Council is mandated to regulate. So the functions of the council include the following. 1. The Act mandates the National Teaching Council to advise the Minister of Education on matters relating to 1. Professional status of teachers, And 2, teacher education, employment, and development. Another mandate of the National Teaching Council is to conduct licensure examination for qualified persons. Third function for the NTC is to issue and revoke teacher license. The NTC is mandated to revoke teacher license based on unprofessionalism of the teacher or other issues that requires the council to do so. And the fourth mandate is that the council is mandated to register qualified teachers in the country. The council is also mandated to develop the Code of Ethics and Professional Practices for Teaching in Ghana. Another point is that the NTC is mandated to establish standards for teacher education in Ghana, and it is also mandated to exercise disciplinary powers over teachers. Another mandate of the NTC is that it is supposed to develop framework for development of teacher education curriculum. So the curriculum that has to be used to train teachers has to be supervised, or the council have to provide framework for that curriculum to be used to train teachers. Another mandate of the NTC is to develop and promote continuous professional education in teaching profession. So the NTC is mandated to provide continuous professional development for teachers. And it is one of the very important functions of the NTC. Now, the NTC is made up of some organizational structure and officers that supervises or oversees the administration of the NTC. One of the highest body of the NTC is the Governing Council. And another important office of the NTC is the Office of the Registrar. We shall talk about the functions of the Governing Council and the functions of the Registrar in this regard. First, the Governing Council is a board, and this board is responsible for making decisions for the council and establishing committees to perform specific functions that the board or the NTC will require persons to perform. This board is made up of individual persons that ranges from tertiary institutions and other bodies that regulate education in Ghana. The second important office of the National Teaching Council is the Office of the Registrar. The Registrar of the NTC is appointed by the President, and the Registrar is responsible for the following. 1. Provide strategic leadership, technical and administrative direction for the Council. Also, the Registrar is to ensure implementation of policies and coordinate activities of the committees established by the board, and as well as keep records of the board meetings that will be held. The Registrar has other officers that support him and or her. The Registrar is supported by the Deputy Registrars, and the Deputy Registrars are also appointed by the President. Their functions are just like that of the Registrar. In the absence of the Registrar, the Deputy Registrars are mandated by the Act to perform functions that have been stated above by the registrar, and they are also supposed to perform other duties assigned them by the registrar. Now, having known the mandate of the NTC and other important offices or portfolios within the National Teaching Council, let us look at the registration procedure for teachers. The first step to qualify to be registered as a teacher in Ghana, according to the Regulatory Bodies Act, the NTC requires that all persons who want to be registered should have undergone training to be teachers from certified institutions in the country. Now, having gone through training to be a teacher with a qualified certificate, persons are mandated by the Act to write and pass licensure examinations. And these licensure examinations are to be conducted by the NTC as stated earlier. After passing the licensure examination, a person would obtain a license for teaching. With a license, the next step to do is to apply to the registrar for registration as a practicing teacher. The registrar is mandated by the Act to publish all lists of registered teachers in the Gazette, daily newspapers, and on the website of the National Teaching Council. It is important to note that, according to the Act, persons shall not practice as teachers unless they have successfully registered as practicing professional teachers in the country. But there are different types of registration or teacher registration. The first type of teacher registration is permanent registration. This type of registration is for teachers who want to practice permanently in the country as professional teachers. But the permit for permanent registration is valid for 2 years. A person may apply for a permanent registration after having practiced with a provisional registration for a period that has been determined by the board. Now, after using the permanent registration for 2 years, a person or the teacher shall renew his registration within 15 days before the expiry date by applying to the registrar for renewal. The second type of registration is the temporary registration, and this registration is valid for a period of 1 year, and it is renewable for another year only. What it means is that persons having temporary registration can only use that for just 2 years. First for 1 year, and after that 1 year, the person can apply for the temporary registration again for another year. The temporary registration, or persons who have registered as temporary registered teachers, shall practice only in approved schools that have been approved by the governing body or by the council. Finally, the third type of registration is the provisional registration, and this type of registration is for newly qualified teachers and foreign teachers who have been exempted from writing the examination. The provisional registration is valid for a period of 6 months only and subjected to other conditions that are determined by the board. The provisional registered teachers may practice only in schools approved by the board. It is important to note that registration of a teacher may be suspended, cancelled or restored based on conditions approved by the board. Once a teacher breaches the code of ethics, it is the mandate of the board to either suspend the registration of a teacher, cancel it, or restore back registered teachers who have been approved by the board for such to be done. In conclusion, let us remind ourselves of some important points in this presentation. We said our main focus for the presentation is on the NTC, its mandate. And we said that the mandate of the NTC is to regulate teaching in Ghana. The NTC is mandated to run all the affairs of teachers in terms of providing professional standards for teachers, regulating teacher license and registration of teachers, providing professional development for teachers, advising the minister on teacher education and professionalism, and regulating other important issues concerning teachers, such as revoking of license or restoring license of teachers. It is important to note that unregistered persons shall not be employed as teachers according to the Regulatory Bodies Act 1023. Thank you.
Hello, viewers and participants. Welcome to segment 2. In this segment, we will be looking at the framework for professional development of teachers. The framework for professional development of teachers was developed by the National Teaching Council to serve as a guide for teachers and service providers to plan, design, and implement appropriate professional development plans and programs. It is a professional development framework that supports teachers to progress along their career path through professional ranking or levels or system. It provides guidelines for the point-based system for insert and portfolios. This implies that as you attend these professional developments, you are able to accrue points which will inure to your benefit in terms of being used for licensing purposes. The National Teaching Standards provides the basis for professional growth of teachers, while this particular framework, the Professional Development Framework, is aimed at developing standards so that it puts the standards into action. In this segment, we will explore the meaning of professional development. What do we mean by professional development? Should we use that expression? We will also examine the rationale for the introduction of the professional development activities. We will discuss the objectives of professional development and delve into the implementation of professional development activities, including the major categories of professional development activities required for teachers across all the various ranks as prescribed by the National Teaching Council. We will touch on the relevance of the professional development activities. Now, to start with, one may ask, what is professional development? Now, as teachers, no matter the quality of the pre-service training that you receive, it is not, or it cannot be expected to prepare you as a teacher for all the challenges that you will face throughout your career. As teachers, we encounter new challenges in the day-to-day teaching and learning enterprise. In that regard, there is a need for teachers to resort to in-service professional development in order to maintain a high standard of teaching and learning. This calls for teacher continuous professional development. Professional development as a term has received varied definitions. Study of the definitions offered over time reveal that it involves activities that develop an individual's skills, knowledge, expertise, and characteristics as a teacher. Others also define it as development of teachers beyond their initial training. According to the National Teaching Council, professional development is a systematic process and sustained process by which a teacher attains, improves, and expands his or her professional knowledge, values, skills. Now, these definitions help us to understand what professional development is about. That as teachers, even though you have gone through training, you need to equip yourself or update the kind of knowledge you have in order to remain relevant on the field. Examples of professional development activities includes, but not limited to, courses or workshops, example subject matter on matters and or other educational related topics. It also includes education conferences or seminars at which teachers or researchers present their research results and discuss educational problems. Qualification programs, for example, you going to university or any institution, higher institution, to update yourself in terms of doing a top-up program or something is also considered as a professional development. Participation in a network of teachers formed in terms of specifically doing professional development. That's an insight that teachers have a group of teachers have come together to do is also considered as a professional development. Or individuals who collaborate on a research topic due to its professional interest. Or when somebody mentors others, systematically, you mentor others or your peers, or you observe them and you coach them, is also part of the professional development. Or reading professional journal literature and applying those things you have heard, received from that literature into your teaching is also part of professional development. Engaging in informal dialogue with peers on how to improve teaching is also considered as professional development. So we could derive from this discussion that professional development is key to teacher quality and effectiveness. As a result, teacher professional development is prioritized by all member countries of Africa, Federation of Teaching Regulatory Authorities, such as Zimbabwe Teaching Council, Teacher Registration Council of Nigeria, and South African Council for Teachers across the globe, and other organizations across the globe. So it is not a Ghanaian thing. It is not solely a Ghanaian thing. So across the globe, all other teachers in their respective countries belong to this council, and it is these councils in these various countries that regulate the teaching and learning and licensing of the teachers. So it is therefore not limited to Ghanaian teachers alone, and as a result, stakeholders are encouraged to embrace this framework and support its implementation to improve the academic achievements of the Ghanaian child, who is the ultimate beneficiary of this framework. Now, we are looking at the rationale for the introduction of the professional development activity, or if you like, this particular framework. Why should we do that? Why the framework? What is the rationale for it? The rationale for introducing the professional development activities is to provide guidance for teachers to continue to improve their competencies, to maintain the integrity of the teaching profession, and improve their professional status. It is envisaged that going through listed accredited professional development activities will help maintain and enhance the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and experiences gained after the initial training. It is therefore essential for teachers as professionals to preserve their professional integrity in updating their knowledge and skills to keep them abreast of contemporary issues and approaches in education. Having looked at the rationale, let's now look at the objectives of the professional development. Professional development for teachers is intended to, 1, provide a forum for harnessing ideas and experiences to improve professional competencies and commitment. It offers intellectual, emotional, and social engagement for teachers to enrich their experiences, to teach for better understanding. Teachers must be intellectually engaged in their discipline and work regularly with others in the field. Again, among the objectives, it maintains high competencies, that is, results from long life learning. As teachers, long life learning is an essential thing in our profession. It also demonstrates the social responsiveness by encouraging members of the teaching profession to collaborate as community of experts. By community of experts, we're referring to professional learning communities, and be current, skillful, and knowledgeable in the very practices that we engage in as teachers. It keeps teachers in good standing and be abreast of time. It also helps maintain professional excellence. It makes available prospects to supplement the initial training of teachers and improve their knowledge, skills, attitude, and practices to meet diverse learning needs that will assist teachers to adapt, contribute, think critically, and participate actively in addressing challenges associated with teaching and learning, and implement recommendations. Besides, professional development also, as part of the objective, augment teachers' commitment to their chosen profession. Now, looking at these objectives that we have outlined, you realize that professional development activities are so key to the teaching and learning activities that we engage in as teachers. Let us now turn attention to look at the implementation of the professional development policy. The policy emphasizes competency-based approach, which require regular in-service education and training to develop teachers' capacities. With this policy framework, teachers will be assessed based on defined competencies and evidence of professional proficiency. It behoves on individual teachers to select, undertake, and document relevant professional development activities they partake in for the purpose of growing through the profession to maintain their professional status. Logbooks have been provided in the various schools so that teachers will document or keep records of the very activities they do. This implies that if they attend professional development training, which is not recorded in the NTC portal, they have to give evidence by recording it in the logbook, which will be of need. So teacher training logbooks have been developed to document teachers' training records and related professional development credit points, where the means of documenting the activities are not immediately available, or there is no designated persons to verify the activities. It is the responsibility of teachers to save this evidence. Example, the registration certificates, attendance records of the activities for the submission at the appropriate time and place as they may be directed by the National Teaching Council. In addition to the professional development programs attended, teachers are required to upload their portfolio records onto the professional development portal for onward assessment by portfolio assessors. The framework serves as a guideline for teachers, education directors, teacher education service providers like our Teachers Association of Ghana, and other stakeholders on the provision of quality teacher training programs for in-service teachers. The framework has identified major activities which has been grouped as 1. Mandatory, 2. Rank-based, and 3. Recommended activities. The mandatory courses is for all in-service teachers, and they are the National Policy on Education, History of Education in Ghana, Teacher Education in Ghana, Past, Present, and Future, Sociology of Education, Professionalization of Teaching in Ghana, Citizenship Education, Education Law, that's Act 1023 and others, Educational Psychology, Guidance and Counseling, Curriculum Development, Instructional Methods, Information and Communication Technology, Instructional Communication, Language and Communication Skills, Classroom-related assessment, Action, Research and Reflective Practice, Educational Leadership and Management, Professional Ethics, Education of persons with special needs or inclusive education or gender equality and social inclusion, subjects, content, and methodology. Example, we're talking about challenging topics. Then macro teaching activities, practicum, mentoring practices, social dialogue. Now, these 21 topics constitute the major, or if you like, the mandatory activities or professional development that all in-service teachers are supposed to go through, whether the teachers are working in the education office or in the classroom. The mode of training for these mandatory courses, that's items 1 to 21, includes professional learning community activities, which could be either cluster-based in-service training, school-based, or departmental-based, or something you do in professional learning communities. Yes, or in your community of practice. And this may be demand-driven training. It is also worthy of note that school-based, cluster-based, or community-based, or like departmental-based, attract 2 points. And 2 points by 3 for a year, making a total of 6. It also holds for office-based capacity building, like intra-departmental, which is synonymous to DBI, and interdepartmental is also equivalent to cluster-based inset. Capacity building for staff in an institution is similar to SBI, that's school-based in-service training. So these training cuts across, and that is why it is mandatory as directed by the National Teaching Council. Now let's turn our attention to look at the rank-based activities. Remember, the major training activities, as I told you, or as recommended by NTC, is 1, the mandatory, the rank-based, and the recommended activities. Now we are on the rank-based courses for all in-service teachers. Now, in terms of that, and in terms of the arrangement, newly qualified teachers, as categorized by the National Teaching Council, is equivalent to national service person. It means we have gone through induction training. That is the equivalence. So under that, this is the kind of training they are supposed to go through. 1, induction training. 2, orientation by circuit supervisors or district education officers. 3, orientation by head of school or head of department. 4, school-based insets and any other training activity. So these categories are supposed to go through, and this attracts about 25 points they are supposed to score before they are given temporal licenses to operate. Now, rank 1, as prescribed by NTC, is equivalent to Superintendent 2. Now, these are the recommended activities, or these are the major things they are supposed to do. The use of reflective logs in teaching, motivation for self-directed study and needs, assessments for planning and growth, pedagogy, that's basic pedagogy, the teaching and learning strategies, creative approaches, group work, questioning, talk for learning. And then the 5th point is ICT. That's basic ICT. You're supposed to know basic ICT. Then school-based insets, cluster-based insets, departmental-based insets, then ICT integration in teaching and learning. Subject content matter, that's basic subject content matter. Then classroom management, basic classroom management. So these categories are supposed to be trained in that area or attend workshops that is in line with their ranks. Now, in terms of rank 2, which is equivalent to Superintendent 1, they are supposed to go through 1, orientation activities. 2, intensive training on school dialogue. Then 3, school-based insets. cluster-based inserts, department-based inserts, then ICT, standard ICT, data management, basic data management, standard subject matter in terms of the very thing that they teach, then classroom management or standard classroom management, and any other training that is recommended by NTC. Rank 3 is equivalent to Senior Superintendent 2 in the GAS. And this is the recommended activities, or this is the rank-based activities they are supposed to go through. 1, guidance and counseling. That is standard guidance and counseling. Then standard leadership training, leadership for change. Then 3, mentoring and coaching, standard mentoring and coaching. Then standard school management. Then data management. That is standard data management. Subject content matter. Advanced subject content matter. School curriculum development. Pedagogy. Classroom management. School-based inserts. Cluster-based inserts. Departmental-based inserts. Then advanced ICT and any other training. For rank 4, it is equivalent to Senior Superintendent 1. And they are supposed to go through guidance and counseling, that's advanced guidance and counseling. Standard leadership training, that's leadership for change. Mentoring and coaching, advanced mentoring and coaching. Advanced school management, basic writing technique, local administration, in terms of basic knowledge in local administration. Then mentoring and evaluation, the basis of it. Then basic project management, advanced data management, advanced school curriculum development, school-based inserts, cluster-based inserts, departmental-based inserts, and any other training. Now for rank 5, which is equivalent to principal superintendent, they are supposed to go through conflict resolution at school and district levels, proper writing for school support, clinical supervision in schools, leadership standards, promoting teacher motivation for improved quality education, basic principles in planning and data collection and management, demonstrating understanding of roles of local government policies, knowledge of procurement laws, knowledge of GES and Ministry of Education organograms and working principles, EMIS data interpretation and knowledge of its implication for school improvement, and other insect activities. Rank 6 is equivalent to Assistant Director 2 in the Ghana Education Service. And this is the activities they are supposed to go through. Policy development and reviews at school, district, regional, and national levels. Change and management skills, that's leadership for change. Team building for wider organizational development. Knowledge of procurement laws. Knowledge of educational organograms and working principles. Policy development and reviews at school, districts, regional, and national levels. Change management skills, that's leadership for change. Team building for wider organizational development. Coaching and mentoring. Now, with rank 7, which is equivalent to Assistant Director 1, here are the recommended, or here are the basic activities they are supposed to go, rank-based activities. Strategic planning and management in education. Communication skills, that's oral and written, for dealing with policymakers and writing policy documents and memoranda. Policy development and reviews at school, district, regional, and national levels. Change for management skills, that's leadership for change. Then team building for wider organizational development. Knowledge of procurement laws, knowledge of educational organograms and working principles, mentoring and coaching, and supportive supervision. Need assessment strategies, project reporting strategies. Now we move to rank 8, which is equivalent to deputy director. And here are the rank-based activities of like professional development they are supposed to go through. Strategic planning and management in education. Communication skills, that's oral and written, for dealing with policy makers and writing. Policy documents and memoranda. Time management skills. Principles and practice of stakeholder partnership and relationships. Demonstrating understanding of labor laws and working with trade unions. Knowledge of financial regulations. Public policy formulation, promoting social accountability in educational sector. Principles of dialogue and negotiations. Educational projects and program management. Time and stress management, that's balancing work and pleasure. Monitoring and evaluation in sustainable development in education. Stakeholder analysis and role development. Implementing quality assurance and accreditation system in education. With rank 9, which is equivalent to Director 1, this is the rank-based training they're supposed to go through or activities. Needs assessment strategies, ethics and integrity, assessments, evaluation and mentoring, lobbying and advocacy, transformational leadership, virtual leadership, project planning and delegation, coaching for improvement, leading innovation, problems solving, and dealing with challenges, trust building and respect, leadership communication, and time management. Let's now look at rank 10, which is equivalent to Directors 2. Now, here are the activities. Leadership and power. Motivational leadership. Delegation and team building. Digital leadership. Decision making. That's analytical, behavioral, directive, and conceptual. Stress management. Employment and retirement. Emotional intelligence. Teamwork and collaboration. Communication, diversity and inclusion. Accountability and stewardship. Strategic thinking, change management. And leadership for influence, legal and regulatory compliance. It is important to note that all rank-based professional development must be completed in professional development cycle of 3 years for regular teachers. For any other course to be certified, it must meet the National Teaching Standards training needs as set up by the National Teaching Council. The core courses and training needed to be covered by professional development programs shall be designed to be appropriate for teachers at the various levels of education system for whom it is intended. Now, the program shall also reflect their daily professional challenges and subject specialization. National Teaching Council shall from time to time publish other subjects and emerging themes for which may be covered in professional development. Let's now turn our attention to recommended activities. Now, recommended activities. Recommended activities for professional development of teachers. And this needs to be measured with evidence-based tools, such as the logbook. Now, the recommended activities have been categorized into categories such as A, B, C, D, up to G. Now, activities in category A attract 1 point. And here are they. Participating in school or cluster-based workshop. Being an active member of a registered teacher union or any relevant subject-based association. Participating in a special event relevant to teachers' role. Orientation by supervisors such as head teacher, head of department, circuit supervisor, district education officer, for in-service teachers. Using lessons learned from reading journals and books to improve teaching practice or assessment, which is verified by school head or any supervisor. Participating in individual conference with parents on students' performance. Using lessons learned from conferences and seminars to improve learning. Using analysis of learning outcomes to improve learners' attainment. Let's move to category B programs. Now, category B programs attract 2 points, and here are they. Participating in a research project as a team member. Attendance of a professional conference, lecture, seminar outside of workplace. Keeping a reflective journal or diary. Participating in a school-based project as a team member. Facilitating a school-based professional development workshop. Participating in alternative disciplinary training programs. Development and implementation of assessment framework to promote behavioral change in the 3 domains. Certain end-of-term examination questions based on profile dimension. Prepare, use, and manage learning resources which engage students with diverse learning styles and needs activities. Write-up and pictures with a cover letter from heads of school. Providing clinical supervision and giving constructive feedback. Promoting good working relations with subordinates and creating safe environment. Writing of reports, example, school reports, training or workshop reports. Attending program on improving teaching methodologies and delivery. assessing online educational related programs, and implementing acquired competencies in classroom. Participating in school community or school and parental engagement program to foster learning. A member of lesson study team at the district level. Demonstrating how competencies acquired in lesson study workshop was used to improve learning outcomes. As executive member of a teacher union or subject-based association at the district level. So with these activities listed, it attracts 2 points, any of them. Let's now move to category C programs, which attract 3 points. Acting as a staff in charge of preparing and supervising students for any competition or activity in a school term. Taking additional responsibility as a class teacher, form master, house staff, chaplain, garden teacher, head of department, or providing counseling for students, etc. in an academic year. Presenting at a professional workshop, lecture, and seminar in or outside of workplace. Participating in setting of questions for a national or international body. Active participation as a member of school-based or district-level committee established to support student learning or improvement in school administration. Attending a short course or completion of a professional development module, distance, school-based, or online with a minimum of 3 hours of active learning per month. Winning award as the best teacher at the school level in a year. Evidence of mentoring a student teacher, lower ranked teacher through the 4 pillars of mentoring and coaching framework in adopting universal design for learning methods. Integrating ICT and other technologies in school administration. Participating in collection and management of educational data, right up on the process, and evidence of engagement will be needed. Applying procurement laws and financial management policies in school and office administration. Participating in stakeholder meetings and programs for building partnership. Facilitating in a district lesson study workshop. Demonstration evidence on how competencies acquired from lesson study workshop was used to support other teachers in carrying out their duties. And as executive member of a teacher union or subject-based association at the regional level. So the activities listed attract 3 points. Now let's move to category D. Category D activities attract 4 points. And they are attending a short course or completion of a professional development module, distance, school-based, or online with a minimum of 12 hours of active learning per month. Participating in marking of scripts for a national or international body as an assistant examiner. Serving as an executive member of a professional or subject-based association and performing your teaching role at the same time in an academic year. Participating in a committee of inquiry or jury service on issues relating to education. Organizing or coordinating special events or commemorations at the school or district level. Planning or facilitating school-based or district level in-service training program or workshop. Winning award as one of the 3 best teachers at the district level. Working as a coordinator or an internal examiner or assessor in an institution. Serving on any education committee at the district level. Participating in leadership for learning training and developing an action plan for implementation. Participating in management training programs to implement desirable change in school management systems. Participating in a curriculum training program that is in relation with assigned level or office of operation. Facilitating a regional lesson study conference. Demonstration evidence on how competencies acquired from lesson study workshop was used to improve learning outcomes in a district. Working as executive member of a teacher union or subject-based association at the national level. Now let's look at category E, which attracts 5 points. Here are the activities. Participating in marking of scripts for a national or international body as a team leader. Identifying a prevailing problem in society that militates against student performance. Devising ways to mitigate such and getting colleagues' assent for implementation. Winning award as one of the 3 best teachers at the regional level. Mentoring a newly qualified teacher or newly appointed teacher. Serving as a resource person on any TV or radio program relating to education. That's once a year. Participating in the community-based services relating to education. Planning or facilitating a short course at the school or district level. Serving on education committee at the regional level. Facilitating a session at an international or subject-based conference. Demonstrating the understanding of curriculum framework and structure, content, and expected outcome of the curriculum of the grades and subjects they teach. Planning, monitoring, and evaluating in sustainable development in education. Participating in a training program which deals with gender-responsive programs, disability, inclusive pedagogies, as well as building skills on universal design learning and demonstrating evidence of how competencies acquired were implemented in school environments. Presenting a lesson on National Lesson Study Day. Presenting a paper on how lesson study has been used to improve learning outcomes. Serving on a panel at National Lesson Study Day. Facilitating 10 workshops on human rights issues for 3 different districts. Evidence of implementation of human rights strategies in classroom, school environment. Evidence and positive results on implementation of alternative disciplinary strategies in the school environment. We now move to category F, which attract 10 points. Participating in a committee in developing policies and guidelines related to education in general or to the practice of teaching. Participating in marking of scripts for a national or international body as a chief examiner, that's 10 points per marking session. leading a team of teachers to implement approaches to solve a previously identified problem in society that militate against student performance in your school. Serving on an educational committee at the national level. Presenting at a national or international conference. Winning award as one of the 3 best teachers at the national level. Conducting school-based research or projects leading to improvement in student learning outcomes. Writing a proposal to support school administration. Managing educational projects and programs at the school, district, regional, or national level. Implementing quality assurance and accreditation systems in education. Promoting female student participation in mathematics, science, and TVET programs. Facilitating 3 gender-responsive pedagogies that uses inclusive pedagogies to integrate social and educational inclusion of students with disabilities. As learning plan and students' tasks can serve as evidence. Attending international conference on lesson study. Being a member of organizing committee of international education program. Working as education technical working committee member. Now, category G, which attract 15 points, is where we are now, and here are the activities. Publication in peer-reviewed journal, contributing to a book chapter, publishing a book or working as an editor of a published book accepted by subject-based association or NACA, completing an accredited education program leading to the award of postgraduate diploma degree. Innovation in teaching, published in peer-reviewed journal, approved by relevant body established by the National Teaching Council. Writing a chapter of a book on gender-responsive pedagogies, or publishing an article on gender-responsive pedagogies in recognized and best-selling newspaper, or writing a peer-reviewed journal on universal design learning and or the importance of inclusive education. Presenting a paper on lesson study at World Lesson Study Conference, and working as a coordinator or a director of national or international program relating to education. These are the recommended activities which teachers are supposed to engage in. From the activities that we have listed, namely the mandatory, recommended, and rank-based. Now let's observe the required points to the 3 categories, namely rank-based, mandatory, and recommended activities for the professional development cycle for 3 years. So from the table, it is evident that teachers, based on the rank they have in place, are supposed to attain certain points within 3 years cycle in order to be licensed. So to start with rank 1, rank 1 is 60 points, rank 2, 65, rank 3, 70, rank 4, 75, rank 5, 80, rank 6, 85, rank 7, 90, rank 8, 95, rank 9, 100, and rank 10, 110. Now these are total marks for 3 years, which a teacher is supposed to get. It is worthy of note that newly qualified teachers shall accrue 25 points within a year to be qualified for full license. The 25 points shall consist of 4 points from rank-based activities and 21 points from the observation activities in the first 4 weeks of the induction program as contained in the induction guidelines. On the other hand, in-service teachers, that is, for example, teachers on rank 1, are required to have 1/3 of their professional development cycle points in a year. Thus, teachers are required to have 1/3 of each of the points assigned or allocated to mandatory training, rank-based training, and recommended activities. So we observe that the calculation of professional development points expected to be accrued within 1 year by a teacher is dividing the stipulated or the allocated points to the various ranks by 3. And this will give us a rise to 6 points. That's for rank 1, 6. And then mandatory training, 10 points. And then recommended training, 4. Giving a total of 20. That's as in the case of rank 1. This is the mark a teacher is supposed to attain in a year. And let's bear in mind that some teachers are running, or in the schools that they are running 3 semesters. That's first term, second term, and third term. Others are running 2 semesters. That's first term and second term. So it means that for each term, you have a minimum of particular professional development training sourced from these 3 major ones, which you are supposed to attend. And this does not make the professional development activity so burdensome. It is so flexible for you to go through. From the information in the table, teachers can determine the number of points required to be accrued from a particular category in a year out of the 3 categories. This helps the teacher to develop a professional development plan and work towards achievement of the objectives of such plan. Teachers are also required to assess a minimum of 5 mandatory training in a year and a total of 15 points in 3-year cycle. Therefore, to be able to determine the weight of a mandatory course for a specific rank, teachers will have to divide the total points required from a mandatory activities in 3 years by 15, which will give rise to what you would like to you will see. For instance, a teacher in rank 1 is expected to obtain 30 points from mandatory training in 3 years. Thus, 15 mandatory activities within 3 years should attract 30 points. This means each mandatory program attracts a minimum of 2 points, which is derived by dividing 30 over 15. Now let's look at the relevance of the point-based system. It is clear that the point-based system helps in terms of you as a teacher renewing your license. The license of every teacher shall be renewed every 3 years. To retain the license of individual teachers, they must earn the stipulated minimum point of their current rank within 3 years prior to license renewal date. However, teachers are required to meet 1/3 of their training points in a year to determine their professional status or standing for a particular year. In addition, the point-based system serves as a criteria for selection of best teachers. Teachers are advised to continue to participate in professional development programs after earning the minimum credit point. This will help them to be abreast of current trends in education and have competitive or comparative advantage over colleagues should it come to selection for Ghana Teacher Pride Award and other selection processes where professional development points can be used as a determinant. In addition, teachers who fail to obtain the minimum professional development points on their 3rd year of current rank shall not be recommended to renew the teacher license and will therefore not be recognized as a teacher or of good professional standing. In this presentation or segment, we have looked at the meaning of professional development. We have also examined the rationale for the introduction of professional development activities. We've discussed the objectives of professional development and delve into the implementation of professional development activities, including the major categories of professional development required for teachers across all levels or ranks. Thank you so much for your attention.
My name is Stephen Osei Echang. I'm presenting on the National Teachers Standards for our country. This is going to be the guidelines that, as teachers, you need to know. By the end of this presentation, participants, you are supposed to know the aims of the standards, what the standard stands for, who the standards are meant for, how were the standards developed, the legal status of the teacher standards, what philosophy underpins the standards, and how these very standards were organized, and then how these very standards are used. We'll also get to know the roles of the teacher education institutions, and finally, the format of the standards. The aims of the standards. The standards have been developed as a professional tool to guide teacher educators, teachers, student teachers, and other stakeholders in education to identify the clear and precise terms that are meant for teachers and what are expected of teachers to know and able to do. These standards will also let us know the qualities that are expected to possess and the behaviors that teachers are supposed to exhibit. The standards set a clear baseline of expectations for the professional development, practice, conduct, attitude, rights, and obligations expected of teachers working in schools at the pre-tertiary level. All teachers completing their initial training will be assessed against these very standards. The standards replaces the diversity of standards being used in the various institutions offering initial teacher education and/or providing continuing professional development with a consolidated set of national standards to ensure that student teachers in their training and development, you are being guided by these same standards. These very standards will also enable teacher educators and others to direct your efforts appropriately to the areas student teachers need most. We'll delve into what these standards are. These standards are concise written statements of what teachers are expected to know and be able to do. As teachers, you play such a critical role in inspiring and challenging students to achieve their potential that their preparation and subsequent development require the highest possible standards in knowledge, conduct, and practice in your workplaces. These very standards set out the minimum levels of practice that all trained teachers must reach by the end of their pre-service teacher education courses in order to play such a critical role. These standards also inform teachers' development while in their first year as beginning teachers on their induction courses in schools prior to licensing as professional teachers by the National Teaching Council, and provide a framework for future professional and career development of all teachers. The standards should be seen as one common core set of standards that apply to all teachers at all levels. We'll move on to the next item. Who are the standards for, or who are these standards meant for? The standards are meant for student teachers on pre-service teacher training courses working towards meeting the standards by the end of their courses. All beginning teachers in their induction year in schools. All practicing teachers in schools who are covered by the 2016 new NTC frameworks for career progress and promotion. The National Teaching Council will use the teacher standards in assessing cases of any misconduct by any member of the teaching profession. All those institutions involved in the training and development of teachers, including universities and colleges, both public and private, vocational, technical, and academic. Teacher educators will use it as a guide in the preparation of curricula and courses and teacher training. District education directors, circuit supervisors, teacher unions, head teachers, and mentors in schools will also need to use these standards as a guide to inform their work. These standards serve as a point of reference for all standards and competencies. We will also need to know why these standards. As teachers, why do you need these standards, and why are we supposed to have these standards? The development of the standards arose from the need to consolidate the different standards being used in institutions offering initial teacher training and those who provide continuing professional development into a national standards to ensure that the development of student teachers is guided by the same set of standards. We also need to know the pillars of the standards. The standards are divided into 3 main domains, each with its own subdomains or subdivisions. These 3 domains and aspects encompasses what teachers should value, know, and do. These domains intersect with one another to make a teacher competent enough to teach at the end of their study. That is their 4-year initial teacher training. Under professional values and attitudes, we'll be looking at professional development, and underneath that, for the teacher, A, critically and collectively reflect to improve teaching and learning. B, you are supposed to improve personal and professional development through lifelong training and continuous professional development. C, you are supposed to demonstrate effective training leadership qualities in the classroom and the wider school. That means your environment. That is the school environment. Community of practice. Under community of practice, the teacher is guided by legal and ethical teacher codes of conduct in your development as a professional teacher. The teacher is also supposed to engage positively with colleagues, learners, parents, school management, committees, parent-teacher associations, and wider public as part of a community of practice. C. The teacher must develop a positive teacher identity and act as a good role model for students. The teacher must see to his or her role as a potential agent of change in the school, the community, and the country at large. Under professional knowledge, which we will be talking about the knowledge of educational frameworks and curriculum, the teacher is supposed to demonstrate familiarity with the educational system and the key policies guiding it. The teacher needs to have a comprehensive knowledge of the official school curriculum, including learning outcomes. The teacher should also secure content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and pedagogical content. This content knowledge for the school and grade they teach in school. At the pre-primary and the primary level, the teacher must know the curriculum for the years appropriate to multi-grade classes. He or she must also have good knowledge of how to teach, and in teaching, beginning reading, numeracy and speaking, listening, writing, and to use it at least one Ghanaian language as a medium of instruction. Knowledge of students. With that, the teacher must understand how children develop and learn in diverse contexts and applies this in his or her teaching. The teacher must take accounts and respect learners culturally, linguistic, socioeconomic, and educational backgrounds in planning and teaching. The third point, professional practice. Managing the learning environment. The teacher must plan and deliver varied and challenging lessons, showing a clear grasp of the intended outcomes of his or her teaching. The next point is the teacher must carry out small-scale action research to improve practice. C. The teacher must also create a safe and encouraging learning environment. D. The teacher must manage behaviors and learning with small and large groups. Now we move to teaching and learning. As a teacher, you are supposed to employ a variety of instructional strategies that encourages students' participation and critical thinking. You must also pay attention to all learners, especially girls and students with special educational needs, ensuring their progress. You must also employ instructional strategies appropriate enough for mixed abilities, multilingual, and multi-age classes. The teacher must also set meaningful tasks that encourages learning, collaboration, and must also lead to purposeful learning. You must also explain concepts clearly using examples familiar to the learners. You must also produce and use a variety of teaching and learning resources, including ICT and other resources, to enhance learning. Now we move down to assessment. In assessment, it is expected of the teacher to integrate a variety of assessment modes into teaching to support the learners during learning. The teacher must also pay attention and listen to learners and give constructive feedback. He or she, as a teacher, must identify and remediate learners' difficulties and misconceptions, referring learners whose needs lie outside the competences of the teacher. The teacher must also know meaningful records of every learner and communicates progress clearly to parents and learners. And this point is also very important. The teacher must further demonstrate awareness of national and school learning outcomes of learners. The teacher must also use objective criterion referencing to assess learners. Now, one key aspect of the standards, how are the standards used? How are you supposed to be used? The standards are set to be used in training institutions, schools, inspectorate bodies, continuous professional development of an individual, school or cluster-based level, training, induction, and self-development. College principals, tutors, head teachers, and mentors in schools, as well as student teachers and teachers themselves, will use these standards as the key reference point in your assessment. Now, we also need to know the roles of the teacher education institutions. It will be important for teacher education institutions, and when we say that, it means the tutors or lecturers, to come up to a shared understanding of what each standard means as a community of education professionals, but also in partnership with head teachers, mentors, and experienced teachers in local schools. Schools, if I say schools, we mean head teachers who also need to work in partnership with universities, colleges, in accommodating student teachers so that they can fully experience what it means to be a teacher, particularly for professional values and attitudes. Mentors and supervisors will need to work with their student teachers, carrying out joint planning sessions with them and allowing the student teachers to work with a particular child and a group of children, accompany their mentor to staff and parent-teacher meetings, team teaching, and then in the final practicum, take on the responsibility of several classes. Mentors will also have to undertake regular meetings with their student teachers to discuss progress against meeting the standards, taking into account where there are gaps in what the student teachers know or have not yet had an opportunity to experience. The next item, that is the format of the standards. Well, for the format, you are going to have printed copies available. The hard copies are going to be given to us for, or to you, the teachers, for the purpose of this exercise. Thank you.